Hello and welcome to another episode of The Top Shelf with me, Shantanu D. Today we are taking a look at a very common pen. It's the demonstrator version of the Lamy Safari, like I like to call it. It's the Lamy Vista. And this particular pen comes in this rather ornate box, considering Safaris don't come in such ornate boxes. It's got an outer sleeve. And inside this box, if I can ever get it out, this is a bit of a pain. There we go. Is the plastic. The pen comes in with a warranty and the converter. I forget the name or the number of the converter, but it comes. It fits the Lamy Safari and a lot of other Lamy pens as well, because it's got those two nubs in it. Right. Moving on. Let's take a look at the pen. This is the pen, and looks obviously very similar to the Lamy Safari, and has that plus or X mark, which denotes that this is a fountain pen, and a typical Lamy clip, Safari clip that is, with the Lamy logo over here in chrome. The bottom really doesn't have anything. It just says Germany over there. I don't know if you can make out, but yeah, it's not entirely round. It's got these two flat edges, similar to the Safari, of course, and these two rounded sides. Opening the pen up, the clip has this chrome sealing mechanism inside it, and essentially it is, as I say, the demonstrator version of the Safari. If you look at the grip section, it's sort of similar to the All-Star, but the All-Star's grip section is sort of smoked out or a little darker tint to it. The nib, of course, is your standard Lamy nib. This particular one is a broad nib. Not much into broad nibs, but for the sake of the review, I've got a hold of one. It has this little sealing sort of mechanism over here, this O-ring, or I don't know what to call it. And the barrel, very similar again to the Safari. It has these little things over here, ink window. I mean, I don't understand why it has this ink window over here, because this is a demonstrator anyway, but I suppose the mold was ready, so they just went ahead and made one. Of course, I've got a cartridge in here. It's Lamy blue, and that's pretty much it. It's got the triangular grip, which is synonymous with Lamy Safari. And let's take a look at a size comparison with the Lamy 2000. So as you can see, pretty much the same size as the Lamy 2000. Really nothing much else to mention in terms of size comparisons. At least it's a very common size, this one, especially with the ubiquitous Lamy Safari all around, all over the place. I would like to bring in a slight comparison here with another Lamy Vista that I have, which is a rollerball, because it's got that dash over there. And the rollerball that I have, this one has been with me for about 7 or 8 years now. And this is one issue which I would like to point out. The plastic in the Lamy Vista rollerball feels a little different. It's hard to point out and hard to explain on a video, but this particular one feels a little bit more, the newer one that is, feels a little bit more lighter. It doesn't seem as, it just seems heavier to me, the older one. Everything else is the same, but as you can pretty clearly see, the yellowing on this is just really, really bad. And I'm not too happy about this. I know demonstrator pens have this propensity to yellow over time, but seriously, I mean, 7, 8 years, this is quite the difference if you look at the two. Pretty much looks like a different model or a color, in fact. On the screen, what you're seeing is not as yellow as it is in real life. It is much more yellow and sort of greenish. I don't know why it's turning green, but be that as it may, this is one thing that I've found with the Lamy Vista. There are other companies that make demonstrator pens, and I haven't noticed them yellowing to this extent so far. So not quite sure what's happening over there. Let's now move on to show you a writing sample. Now, this particular pen is in broad, and as you can see, I've used Midori MD, and it's a fairly light pen, very similar to the Safari, using Lamy Blue, and that is what it looks like before the actual live writing sample. I'm now going to do a live writing sample, so stay tuned. Let's now do a writing sample with this pen. Let's do the good old quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. As you can see, I'm not very proficient with the broad nib. I find broad nibs very difficult to handle because they kind of slip away, and my handwriting is not as large as a lot of people's handwriting. I have a smaller handwriting, so I tend to prefer fine or extra fine nibs, especially the European variety if I'm using. And how wet is this pen? Yeah, it's fairly wet. This Midori MD paper tends to dry fairly quickly, which is a good thing. This ink shows some sheening properties. I don't know if you can tell, but it's difficult to show on the camera. But it does have a very light, dark reddish tinge to it when I look at it, not through the camera. What else? This is a fairly inexpensive pen when it comes to fountain pens. It's not that expensive, and I find it's very, very comfortable. Looks good, but there you go. Did you see that? Now this is my problem with broad nibs. I don't know why this happens. I suppose it's been over polished. The downstrokes are fine. The upstrokes also are more or less fine, but these strokes from left to right, if I put more pressure, it's fine, but I'm putting a fair amount of pressure over here. With no pressure, it's skipping, and this has been happening quite a bit. I have a couple of other broad nibs from Lamy, and this tends to happen in them as well, in those models as well. So it's a bit of a bummer. I don't understand why it's been polished so much. As you can see, there's a lot of tipping over here, and I suppose a little bit of smoothing out with some grit will take care of it. But having said that, this is not something that I like when I get a pen. It should just work. This desire to have a very, very smooth nib, because most people tend to like fountain pens that just glide through like butter, tends to let people, at least the manufacturers, to really over polish the nib. But anyway, that's what it is. Be that as it may, it's still a good writer, more or less fine, as you can see. So it's a good pen. If you're getting a fountain pen for the first time, not a bad one to get, but there are plenty of others out there to experiment with. So that's about it. That's my views on the Lamy Vista. I hope you like it, and do like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.